Hi everybody, this is Brazy. Welcome to a Speak Your Truth video blog. I just want to say this. The Aussies have just gone soft. I couldn't believe it today. I'm just reading article after article of just absolute nonsense. First one starts off with this protester who's actually using taxpayer money and is suing the police because a horse, that's right, a GG, and I'm doing this of course on Melbourne Cup Eve, the race that stops a nation. During the protest, a horse actually drools or dribbles on this guy's shirt and makes the shirt wet. And the actual legal aid are actually going ahead with this lawsuit. And I'm just sitting there thinking, you know what, mate? We hardly ever protest here about anything. And, you know, we've got overseas, you've got people that are dying in protests. You know, you've got countries like in the United States where they're using stun cuffs that pump drugs into you and you get tied up just for being female and you get pepper sprayed across your face. And then you've got these new claymore mines that shoot rubber bullets at protesters. And then in Israel, you've got these protesters that are the skunk cannon where they're spraying high pressure raw sewage at your face where you just smell for hours and hours and hours and it stings your eyes. And then it goes a step further where they actually use these LRADs where they shoot literally sound waves at you that make you shit your pants. And then they use these microwave cannons where they literally shoot them at you and you burn, your skin burns at 130 degrees. And then you've got this bloke in Australia who's saying, I think that horse just dribbled on me. I mean, come on. It's no wonder nothing is ever happening, and in Queensland they're just doing any laws they want on people because we're too busy trying to fight these tiny little nitty-gritty nonsense at the police, and they're just tightening all the laws up on us. I got to be honest, it is a load of nonsense. And then not only do they say, but it made my shirt wet. It made my shirt wet from the horse drool. And the horse stood on my foot and it made it swollen. I'm sitting there thinking, man, what's going on? And then you got these school subjects now. That's right. In Australian schools now, they're teaching 13 and 14-year-old kids to be a brand. That's right, to be like Gillette, the best a man can get. They're literally teaching kids how to be a brand and to control their emotions. They're not teaching them how to be the best that they can be or how to, learn some moral values or how to stand up for their beliefs. No. They're teaching them to be a brand. In other words, to be a liar. To go out there and say, my name is Sally and I'm 12 and boys, I'm the taste of a new generation. I'm like Pepsi. I mean, give me a break. I mean, you go over to China where they're serious. They're absolutely deadly serious about their education, where a grade 5 boy, that's like a 9-year-old boy, he came late to class, I think. And the teacher said, I want 1,000 character essay. And when the boy didn't have it all done, he said, mate, if you don't get it done, you throw yourself off a building. And the kid did. The kid had 4 goes at it and left a note. And he threw himself off a building and landed on a parked car 33 stories. And the scariest part is that child in Australia, mate, they would be suing the school, the government, the teachers, everything that they're worth. But all they could do was get a banner and put a banner in front of the school to say that they were angry at that teacher. And let's face it, the parents probably work for Foxconn, where there were suicide nets to catch them when they're going through this grief. Mate, and his future is nowhere near as bright as ours is. I mean, that's how frightening all of this is becoming. And then we have a feature story here in Australia where they're turning around and saying things like a guide dog wasn't allowed into a Chinese restaurant. And everybody in that Chinese restaurant, the Chinese person probably didn't have a clue. Most of the time in Chinese restaurants, all deliveries are done around the back to make the Labrador laxer. But the poor old Chinese waiter didn't have a clue. But no one in that restaurant stood up to say, hey, here, I've got Google on my phone. You know, here, I'll show it to you. Here's the law. The poor blind guy had to say, oh, I'm gonna have to take this up myself. I'm gonna have to be the activist. The poor blind guy had to do it all himself and take it to the media. No one in there had the balls. Everyone has become so numb, they didn't stand up for the poor blind guy and just let the people in the restaurant know that by law or just by doing what's right, you let a guide dog into the restaurant. This is my big problem. And these become major media stories. And these aren't even really anything about what's really going on in the world or what's really affecting us. And yet they're the big stories where everybody wants to have their talking points. Look, I think when we put it down to it, when a protester, and for all I know, I hear what you're saying, it could literally be an agent provocateur. But when you're at a protest and all the terrible things that happen with all the weapons that are against with the taser shotguns, etc., all the things that are going against protesters all around the world, and in Australia you're worried about an animal drooling on you and wetting your shirt. Man, we're going to have some serious problems in the future. And it's really sad to see that this is where we've become. Look, this is Brazy. Love to hear your opinion.